No matter what you do, if you train with purpose and intent for 12 weeks, you will gain muscle.
Yeah.
Purpose and intent. If you're going in just being like, I'm going to be doing a bit of this today. Jeff Nippard said to do this. I'm going to do this today. And then you change your exercise the next week without progression, you won't make progress.
You can train for a marathon in less than the time it takes to do a marathon in one day. People think that because you have to run a marathon, you have to run a marathon every fucking 3 days in order to be ready for it. It's not how it works.
Welcome back to the PerformWell Podcast. This is the podcast for you if you're looking for performance and wellness optimization so that you can not only smash your career, but also have a better life, better relationships, and better health. We believe that performance and wellness are yin and yang and work together. So listen in as we dive into topics that are going to help you optimize your life for the better. Guys, welcome back to another episode. It's been a while. Well, actually, it hasn't been a while technically with you guys, but it's been a while for us because we've actually booked these podcasts up front, haven't we?
We did. Yeah,
Weird.
I was going to say we were 4 weeks ahead when you guys were watching the podcast. The 100th episode actually came out about a month ago. So we're actually all caught up now.
Setting this up today took ages.
We're so out of
How long has it been? 5 weeks?
It's been 5 weeks because you went to Bali.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was Bali?
Bali was good.
Yeah.
Went to Spain, went to Bali, got engaged.
Yeah. Just doing all the normal things that people do over the summer.
I don't even know what you got up to, mate. I wasn't even paying attention.
What did I get up to? Working my little socks off is what I was doing.
Your socks? Yeah?
My little socks. Actually, to be fair, I was getting really engaged in content. So if anyone's seen my content, they've probably seen it. It's like the quality has gone up recently.
So we're both engaged in something. That's good.
Yes.
And don't think we didn't notice you guys staring at our feet and our socks. All right, that's why we've gone for these nice socks today.
I've gone for clean white ones for you all. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's what I've gone for. You gone for the nice yellow socks?
Yeah, I actually, fun fact about the, well, you know this fun fact, but for those that don't know, these were my cycling socks. That's why they're covered in black shit.
Yes, because you've got the old, what they call cycling tattoos on the back of them.
Yeah. How is it? It's when the chain hits your back of your leg.
Yeah. And you just get that mark up the back.
It's not the chain, in fact. It's actually the actual ring itself. It's the ring itself. It's not even the chain.
The ring hit the back of your leg. What you mean? You're coming in like that when you're using.
That's how That's how it happened to me. I fell off my bike 6 times in one day. Yeah, with these socks on.
You can buy them on eBay. We'll sell them after the podcast if you want it.
What these?
We'll sell your specific socks.
They're called Gorewear. So I don't know if the website's Gorewear, but yeah, Gorewear's good.
Gorewear. All right, we'll bear that in mind.
Gorewear.
Now, today, the topic of today is, well, how Nick described it, is circle jerkers, science-based lifters versus old school training methods when you're looking to gain muscle mass, which is going to be an interesting debate because we were training with Louis, our editor, hello Louis, the other week, and me and Nick got into a little bit of debate surrounding this during some of the exercises. It was a healthy debate because we've got 2 different viewpoints on it, which will come out today.
Yeah.
But the confusion for a lot of people is surrounding around the fact that who on earth do they listen to? You've got people like Jay Cutler coming out with all the classic exercises and movement patterns, and then Jeff Nippard coming out with the most exclusive movement pattern that's brilliant and it hits your lats in a certain way due to EMG data. Where do we start with things?
I mean, it's like this is like a West versus East debate in some way because the East medicine, for example, they have a thing called Eastern medicine. Which has been used for thousands of years. And then Western medicine is something that's been stacking over time. Science has proven certain medications help for certain things. They've developed things over time. Do you go back to the roots that has worked for thousands of years, or do you carry on with this potentially misleading scientific breakthroughs that are happening that sometimes disproves itself over time?
It does, and I think there is a combination of both to be had. However, I'm very much in the new fold science camp with the stuff I've personally learned and about movement patterns and how joints move, and when you're putting a muscle through a full range of motion, that's ideally what we're looking for. And we got in a little bit of debate about stabilization, didn't we?
Yeah.
About stabilizing an exercise. Now, my true belief is if you're wanting to grow muscle, you need a movement pattern that's stable, that you can load heavy.
Yeah.
That's where I sit with things.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that was a problem. No, my argument was if you have the same amount of time each week, you've only got so much time to do an exercise, why pick something that takes twice as long when you can hit loads of things in the same amount of time?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
From a time perspective, but then we're doing trade-offs there, aren't we?
Yeah.
So like I'm speaking to a camp that maybe has a little bit more time to train and exercise, and you're speaking to a camp that is uber busy.
If you go down your route though, this is what happens. You go down the route of becoming a 6-session-a-week bodybuilder, because if you want to maximize, you need to maximize by going into pure isolations. You get machines that are designed for the incline, the neutral, the decline. You train 4 sets of muscle, 12 reps, 60-second time of detention, and you have no time anymore. Like, that's now your thing. Whereas in my kind of way of doing it, you train less. You can train 45 minutes. You can train 3 days a week. You can train 2 sets on a muscle, which, you know, many people, Mike Mensa himself said that it works really well for muscle growth. And this man was as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger in terms of not physical like stature, because obviously he's a short guy, but his muscles and his proportions were as big, if not arguably better than what Arnold had. And he trained 25% of the time that Arnold did.
I think I'm gonna come with a little bit of an argument here.
Yeah.
With this whole debate sparks between, mainly, let's speak younger and older generations of training experience, doesn't it? Realistically, a lot of the people sitting in the science-based camp are younger. You don't tend to get a lot of older bodybuilders who are sitting there being like, oh, I've started doing this new lat pull down. You know, you don't really. Where I sit with things is, whilst people are younger and maybe have a bit more time to spend time doing a lot of volume, to spend time doing these movement patterns that take a bit longer, that are bang for your buck, in, you know, quote unquote. But realistically, when we're talking to a population of people who like to stay healthy, people don't prioritize their health until they are past the age of about 25. Arguably, they don't value it as much.
Most people. Yeah. I mean, probably even later than that.
They just don't value it as much. You know, everyone, when they're, same for us, when you're going through the ages of about, I don't know, 15 up to about 25, you're looking at getting jacked. Let's be realistic.
I know 25-year-olds that tell me they feel old, and I'm like, you're not old, mate. I'm 34, and if I said I felt old, some 44-year-old would come to me and say, you're not old. Like, you can't win this fight.
No.
Like, we're all slowly moving towards an older age range over time. You know, it is what it is. Everyone's going to feel old at any age.
But when we come back to the kind of question at hand, when we're talking about training at different types of training between the two, for me personally now, I'm 26. If I was to go through my full gym routine, I have a balance of exercises that, for example, people who are experienced bodybuilders would be like, fuck yeah, that's a great exercise, love that. Then I've got my science-based camp who love some of the stuff that I do too. I've got balance between the two now, because it's also about time saving, but then fitting that kind of mesh of the two in together. So I'm getting some great exercises that are great for range of motion, and I'm getting some exercises that are also just great in general for like strength building, like an incline press.
It is a balance. But remember, I come from a background where I was in the military. First of all, that was my first kind of foray in training. That level of training is about being functionally good for anything that comes to you. Yeah, because you need to be good at obstacle courses, lifting heavy weights, running, push-ups, calisthenics stuff. You have to be ready for combat. You don't know what that's going to look like. Like, you've seen the Ukraine and Russia like video footage, and you see how it's just so brutally raw. They're running, they're like jumping over things, they're carrying all this weight. That fields of people would suck when it comes to doing bodybuilding movements.
Here's a question for you then. You put a post up actually today on your story of what an actual person in the army looks like, didn't you? Yeah. Now, do you think people's views of someone who's in the army is very distorted from a compositional standpoint at the minute then?
Yeah, there's 10% of people do look jacked. There's always those people. That's where the movies like show these people. 90% of people look like they have a Greggs every day. Mackie D's have a big belly, small little skinny arms, and they are surprisingly the strongest people. There was someone in the army that chain smoked 2 cigarettes back to back, and then ran 1.5 miles in another 10 minutes, 64 push-ups, I think it was, and then 68 sit-ups. Just like that. 2 cigarettes, and then bosh.
Insane then. So when coming back to the debate we're having about science-based lifting, and then we'll call it old age lifting, it's not, but like, where does it stand at that point if people can chain smoke 2 cigarettes, still run at that pace? Does it come as a belief system? Do people start believing that they get bigger? So they get, you know, silly.
Experience always comes first, in my opinion, and science comes second. Like, you should. Science is not a bad thing, because, like, for example, we know this is the femur, the bone in here, because of science. Science has proven this is the femur. We call it the femur. So that's pretty set in stone, right? But things like I told you before on a previous podcast about knees beyond toes was frowned upon for so long, because the science community said it was bad for your knees. The science community now says it's good for your knees. It's not necessarily bad for your knees, is what I'm trying to say. So the science has gone back on itself. Experience always said that if you look at tribes across the world, people bend their knees beyond their toes, and they have less knee problems than we do. So experience has something that science doesn't have. Now, That being said, like, not everything should be just experience, because we know people have different experiences and we have different bodies that genetically I might have an experience with. I can eat more carbs than someone like yourself or someone else that can't, and lose fat very easier, should we say. So experience is limited too. So if you cross the two together, you have the perfect ground. I'm not anti-science. I'm just 50-50 on it. Like I pick and choose what I've my experience found with the people I've trained, and then you start to paint a picture of, right, well, this science has more than just peer-reviewed studies behind it. It has actual accounts of people making change with it. And we for generations, we've followed experienced people. They're the ones that became leaders in society. They're the ones that we were like, right, you actually know something I don't know, so maybe I should follow you. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger, the whole bodybuilding generation back then, they had some science, some limited science. They probably even sparked most of the creation of it now. But they got fucking jacked. Mm-hmm. Really jacked. Like, not arguably as big or muscles as big, should we say, as now, because the science has probably helped in some way to like figure out what's the best way of doing this. Mm-hmm. But they also arguably had better physiques in the way that they actually approached it, because the bloated belly generation of bodybuilders nowadays have taken it too far. So
it is like someone's just blown up balloons in muscles for some people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just like on sizing and general sizing of bits and pieces. Yeah. I do think if you take anything away from this podcast, take away this one thing. No matter what you do, if you train with purpose and intent for 12 weeks, you will gain muscle.
Yeah.
Purpose and intent. You have to train with that. If you're going in just being like, I'm going to be doing a bit of this today. Jeff Nippard said to do this. I'm going to do this today. And then you change your exercise the next week without progression, you won't make progress. It's simple as you won't make progress, because you are not linearly progressing on an exercise then. It's so much easier just saying, okay, this week I'm doing a set of lat pull downs, I'm doing a set of bench press, I'm doing a set of curls, and I'm going to do each of those. I'm going to do my first set of 10 reps. Then I'm maybe going to try and do a range of 8 to 15 and try and hit that upper end every single time, and then progress that the following week.
Yeah.
If you're getting bored doing that, maybe the gym's not for you, because I'm sorry, it has to be plain and simple sometimes for people to get results in the gym.
Well, they do, yeah. And like, let's just go back to real quickly with the stability issue debate thing. There's a place for it for everyone. Mm-hmm. Like going onto a machine in the gym, which is very stable, and all you have to do is push the machine, and that's it, is good for a lot of people, especially at the beginning, because it just gets you moving, and you make a lot of progress that way. And some of you don't have the capability or confidence, should we say, to go in the free weight direction, first of all. That being said, if you're more of an advanced lifter and you've gone further down the road, you'll get a lot more out of those kind of movements where they're free weight because of the instability angle. You're building parts, or should we stabilizers in the body that you wouldn't normally hit very easily with machines. And even on, like, let's say Jeff Nippard, isn't it? Sorry. He, I think, mentioned once that machines can actually train stabilizers quite effectively. Although, if we look at the coordination angle in terms of how to activate those stabilizers, now we're looking at a different thing entirely.
But it's almost like putting people... okay, this is going to sound...
Your CNS needs to train for that movement, basically.
Yeah. This is going to be a bit blunt, but I think sometimes... Yeah. Look, this is from a stabilization guy who I do like stable movements for building muscle. A lot of my clients, I put them down that road. But you have to balance it out, because I do think if you put people in machines, or physically machines all the time... you don't build up the proprioception, as you said, with stuff like balance and coordination, which are important to then build the confidence to go to a further range of motion with the movement pattern. Yeah. For example, my range of movement on a row used to be so short, but then I started to be like, okay, well, I'm going to integrate like a bench supported pull down so I can start to get stable and then take off the training wheels and go back to doing what I was doing before.
There's nothing wrong with that. A bench supported cable pull down is different. Like that's one of those exercises that is designed for that specific purpose.
Because it's for the specific muscle group, isn't it?
There's some exercises like that are fine. Like I'll use support on certain things. If you look at bodybuilders as well, they will use machines most of the time. I'm not talking about like the Ronnie Coleman of like doing deadlifts, squats. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy.
Because obviously they do like big functional based movements too, and also use machines. But a lot of bodybuilders use machines. Like a machine for incline, a machine for decline, a machine for a certain bicep versus the other side. There's a machine for everything. And they'll spend a lot of time doing it. They'll spend 3-hour workouts in the gym, and I don't have that time.
Well, a lot of people watching this won't have the time either.
Yeah,
they definitely don't.
And they will have bigger muscles than myself because they're training for that purpose. Yeah.
You know
but
what?
will they be able to do an obstacle course? Will they be able to go for a run? Will they be able to bend down and do their shoelace without getting a massive hamstring cramp? Like, these are things that people don't think about. It's like, there's more to your training than just the sport you're after. If you want to be a bodybuilder, train like one, by all means, but don't come crying that you can't, bend down without getting a hamstring cramp, or you get out of breath walking upstairs, or you got stabilizer issues when you try and move a certain direction, you fall over because you don't fucking train it.
We spoke about it in a podcast, I think it was about a year ago now, but we spoke about training in seasons. And when you train in seasons, it's something that I kind of like to preach, is like, if you want to be a jacked runner, spend time getting jacked, then be a runner. Spend time doing those, and then do the two things together.
Or be jacked, then be a runner.
Yeah, like one or the other. I think people try
Or
and
be
do...
a runner and then be jacked.
Yeah, either or. Because you need to build your systems up. I think people at this point in time, look, running community's exploded. I'm loving the fact so many people are getting into running. It's fantastic.
Mate, running has always been
It's always been great,
thing.
but it's more so
Everyone's
now because people are starting to really
talk about it.
Yes, it's because of the podcast.
People have always loved running, man.
Yeah.
Our ancestors, all they had was running.
Well, yeah, true. They'd be like, I'm going out, and they'd go in their sandals and shit and run down the cobblestone roads.
Romans running to battle.
with their old sandals on.
They didn't have fucking resistance machines. Oh, they might have, actually.
But it's like, they used to have, what was it, years and years and years ago, during Roman times, they used to still have running tracks. Which is mad. When you see photos from historian books, they used to still have running tracks. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They used to still competition.
Where did that Olympic track come from?
Yeah. It's so true. It's cool though when you look back on that. But like adding these two things in together, if you're going to focus on doing stuff like learning to run and trying to balance out your strength training, if you haven't spent a considerable time in both, focus pretty much solely on each, you're going to struggle. Because it's the same thing if you're doing, anyone here who's a project manager or working on a business. If you're trying to do two different projects at the same time, they get half done. Whereas if you spend time doing one for a shorter period of time, you get better results and yield better results in a shorter time frame. I've been finding a lot during my triathlon block at the minute. Like, my physique's been pretty good, but there's a lot of time I need to spend training to maintain a physique and also then be able to push my aerobic system. It's a lot.
Yeah, but there's a skill to this as well. Like, when it comes to this idea of doing two things, it's not like you can't. It's just, you said obviously it's a half-hearted thing, right? When it comes to training, when you get to like a little bit further down the road, you can separate them and still train effectively in both. The way I look at it is I don't live in the future with my training. I live in the present with my training. So what is it that I'm doing now or later on? Once that's complete, that's no longer out of my head, and now the next focus is the next element. So if I'm doing a gym session today, I'm not thinking about my run tomorrow because the gym session is my only important thing. So I can give everything in the gym session. Once that's done, my head can now switch onto run mode. And then you prepare the resources. Some people think about their entire week ahead of them and think, oh, this is so much. And it's like, that's the same thing with anything. If you think about anything that's in future that isn't here yet, it's stressful because there's so much in your head coming. But if you live in the moment, it's much easier to compartmentalize the thing that you're doing and not getting stressed out by things that are going to happen later on.
I'm actually really glad you said that, because as I just mentioned with the triathlon training, it is a lot of work to like gear yourself up. Same for when like you're doing marathon training at the minute. It's a lot of work when you chuck that first week in and you've got like 3 runs, 2-3 gym sessions. You're like, fuck, how am I going to do all this? But it's right in what you've said that actually it's better to focus on the one individual thing at a time. Like for me, even this week, I looked at my Wednesday and went, God, I've got a double session. Like I've got a cycle and I've got a swim. And I was already thinking about that on Monday. And Monday, I still had to do a swim and still had to do a gym session on Tuesday. But I was already ahead of the game and focusing on that kind of thing. But I agree with you. Focus on present, focus on the moment.
How many hours do you train a week with the cardio? Just the cardio?
Just the cardio alone, 6 hours.
It's not a lot.
No.
More than that. That's good, actually, because I was hoping you'd say more, because I was going to say, like, you don't need to necessarily do many hours to train for...
There's a lot of, like, interval work and...
Yeah, like marathon running, for example. Yeah, let's say it takes 4 hours to do a marathon. So what do? 2 marathon runs a week? No, that's not what happens. You run a short run, you do a long run. The long run is nowhere near the length of the marathon. Yes, it slightly goes up towards closer to the event, but comes down again. You can train for a marathon in less than the time it takes to do a marathon in one day. You don't, like, people think that because you have to run a marathon, you have to run a marathon every fucking 3 days in order to be ready for it. It's not how it works.
Apologies for interrupting the podcast. We know you're getting fully engrossed into this episode, and we really appreciate you stopping on the video on YouTube or on Spotify if you found us through one of the search pages. Make sure to leave a review and a subscription if you haven't already. But we just wanted to interject a point here that me and Nick have 15 years of coaching experience between us, and it's only getting better as we've got better guests on the podcast. The only way we can do that, though, is with the growth of our program that we've just released. We've got a 12-month PerformWell program, which has just dropped, and we'd love you guys to get involved in it. If you want to know more details, make sure to head to the description, as we've got our website in there, which can give you a full overlay of the program. We're looking to help career-driven professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners, and anyone dominate their life by improving their lifestyle. Me and Nick like to claim ourselves as experts in this area, and if you want to check out some of our other transformations, I'm sure you do. We've got some amazing people who have performed so well off the back of this program. Have a cracking day, and we really appreciate your time. Let's get back to the podcast.
No.
You know,
build up your volume over time, don't you?
Yeah.
It's just building it up week on week. And I've spoken to clients, same with triathlon clients that I'm training at the minute. It's building up the volume steadily, but doing different types of training throughout the week. I always have steady state stuff and interval stuff. That's basically, I have like one interval run, I have one steady state run, I have one interval cycle, so on and so forth with everything. Yeah. But it's just how you organize your week. And I think we spoke about it before. It's about planning. If you don't plan, the intent's not there, you don't have the purpose, and you're going to struggle.
Yeah. The most important thing, though, is with strength training, especially, you need to have intensity in mind when you're doing it.
Yeah.
You can't just go in the gym, like at the beginning you can, but you can't just go into the gym long term and tick off a box saying, I've done this, done this, done this. You have to put your presence and you have to put your attention in the present moment when you're training and think, I need to lift the shit out of this and actually go to failure at least once today on something. Otherwise, you won't make progress. Like, you don't have to go to failure on everything. That's actually the wrong way to do it. But at least one set for each muscle group exercise you're doing should be to some sort of failure. Otherwise, the muscle has no reason to change.
And people don't know true failure. A lot of people don't know true failure.
Yeah.
You think about the amount of clients, and I'm not calling out loads of my guys, but I've had people through in the past where they've backed out where even the smallest level of discomfort comes in.
Yeah.
They're like, I've done the movement, I've gained some muscle. I'm like, no, it's the same thing about years and generations of adaptation. We have adapted because of stress. And we've spoken about it before. You put stress on the body. We've adapted because of stress. If you don't apply an adequate amount of stress, your body's just like a little rubber band where it just kind of pings back to where it was before. It doesn't really care. It needs something to stretch it, to make it longer, to make it bigger. You know, you need to stress the body out, but from a place of control, not from a place of chaos.
And I was the same of all of you. I was the same as everyone listening. Sorry, everyone here has had the same problem. We, at some point in our training career, we thought training more was the answer, but it isn't.
No.
Training more and not recovering is the worst way of doing it. You need to recover. You need a stimulus, yes, but you don't want to do it at the result of having less recovery. And that's why I'm against the bodybuilding stuff for what I want to do, because it's very hard to recover from.
Agreed.
Unless you're on steroids, which is why bodybuilders do it, because they recover so quick that they can train 6 days a week, 3-hour workouts. They do get big, of course, but they're the only ones that can actually physically withstand that recovery level. I can't.
Well, why don't you see marathon runners who are bodybuilders? Because it doesn't work.
Yeah, well,
you know.
Nick Bear's in good shape. He's a bodybuilder technically, but like a more of like a physique level bodybuilder. In fact, physique's even big these days. I'd say even less than that. You know, yes, they're not like Chris Bumstead.
No.
Like, yeah,
But it's still that level, right?
But before you end, Ronnie Coleman was a police officer.
Yeah.
He's a bodybuilder. He could run
Okay, fair enough. But
short distances.
yeah, but he could run.
Yeah, buddy.
I'm gonna grab the wheel quickly.
Yeah, get the wheel.
Grab the wheel.
The cheese wheel.
The cheesy wheel.
I'll tell you what, guys. I found a new protein shake recipe. It's really good. It's actually quite a lot of calories, to be fair. So for those on a low calorie amount, I'm sorry.
Just produce something, Nick, surely.
So vanilla cream, soy protein at the moment. I know I'm a soy boy at the moment.
From the protein works.
Oat milk. I would have actually go for a soy milk protein drink as well. But anyway, and then peanut butter. It is so good.
There you go, a free recipe as well so today, guys. Right, we're gonna go for it's red flag, green flag. Okay, so let me explain this to you.
I'm colourblind.
Green. Yeah, but no, for fuck's sake. Red flag is something that's a red flag.
I see no red flags, bro. What you on
of
about?
a person. So you go through these, and like if I say, I don't know, they give fitness advice in the gym, for
Yeah.
example, you
Circle
say
jerkers.
it's a red flag thing or a green flag thing. So it's good that people are doing it, or it's bad that people are doing it,
Okay.
basically, okay?
Yeah.
Do you want to spin away?
Yeah, go for it. What is it? They only go 10 reps.
They only do 10 reps of an exercise. Red flag or green flag?
So it's in the middle, bro. Red flag.
I'm going to go red flag because that to me screams that someone's not feeling, I don't know, well, I was going to say adventurous, but they're not up for trying to go out of that rep range.
10 reps is fine.
And
you can do 10 reps for your entire life and look fucking great.
You can, but it's again, comes back to intent that we just spoke about in the podcast.
Yeah.
If you're doing 10 reps with intent, sure.
You mean, so 10 reps, but if you fail, it doesn't count, it still counts as 10 reps?
What do you mean?
As in, if they're aiming for 10 reps, but they fail,
What, like 6?
then that's less than 10 reps,
Yeah,
technically.
it's less than 10 reps.
So,
I'm talking about
but you're saying if they're aiming for 10 reps.
Yeah, I'm saying if people just come in and do 10 reps of an exercise, so they do that classic 3x10 method.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
that
3
kind
by
of thing.
10.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not far off that. I'm an 8 to 12 guy.
Yeah, I'm an 8 to 15 guy, but that's
Yeah.
just me.
Maybe 6 to 8 sometimes when I go for heavy phases.
All right, I'm going to spin again.
Yeah.
Red flag, green flag. They do not shower after the gym.
Green flag.
Really?
Natural, bro. No, obviously red flag.
Red flag. I think it depends how sweaty the session is for the
I mean,
gym.
wait. I mean, actually, no. I don't shower after the gym. I go home and then shower.
Yeah, but I'm not talking showering in pure gym showers, because if people have been to a pure gym shower...
Who doesn't shower after the gym?
Sometimes I don't. It depends how intense...
You're one of the people. Red flag to you, sir.
Yeah, but it's sometimes like, look, I don't get sweaty enough in a session, and I don't smell.
You do smell. That's
I
why
don't smell.
I've been telling you for a while now.
I don't smell. That's why he sits so far away from me. Let's go again.
Shut up, man. It's stuck. That's why it needs to be loosened. They live off protein bars and shakes. Red flag.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people I've spoken to recently who live off like, and look, I love people going on the Protein Works, My Protein, whatever they go on, and order their protein powder.
Yeah.
But it's not a diet. That is not a diet. Just because you're getting protein in, we're missing the minerals, we're missing the vitamins, we're missing the the things that we need.
Yeah, like if you're vegan. No, I'm joking.
Well-
Vegan's alright. We've already talked about this.
We have had a conversation about this. Go. They take electrolytes. Amber flag.
Yeah, it's amber. Because I don't think everyone knows why they're taking them so much. I think people get caught on this bandwagon of like, oh, this athlete's taking them, maybe I should take them. But they don't realise that athlete's doing 6 hours on the bike, whereas you're not.
And it depends how much people perspire and sweat.
Yeah.
Because most people don't sweat enough to warrant needing electrolytes in their diet.
I've actually found, I've drank a lot of water in my exercise before and thinking that will help me because I feel dehydrated and I felt worse. Then I took electrolytes, felt better. And I've never had a bad experience with electrolytes, even when we're doing the cycle up the UK.
I think it's hard because I think it's the hardest thing to get right is your sodium and water balance.
Yeah.
Because it's so hard to tell.
You can't go wrong with one a day though, in 9 times out of 10, if you generally feel like you've got an issue.
If you're an active person, yes. If you are someone who sits behind a desk for 6 hours in a day, I don't think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
Personally, I think some salts.
I mean, it's sodium, magnesium, and potassium are the main ones.
Yeah.
So potassium, if you have a banana a day, that's sorted. Don't have to worry about that. Magnesium, get that through a supplement anyway if it help you sleep.
Or you can get it through like stuff like spinach.
Yeah, or spinach if you like spinach. And then sodium. I mean, we're in a whole high sodium diet these days. Most food anyway.
Most
so
food, yeah.
You're probably going to be hitting those things anyway.
True. Right,
But-
last one. I'm ready for this.
Go.
That's a better one. What was that? They do Hyrox.
Red flag.
Sorry,
Apart
Rob.
from Rob.
Apart from Rob. Rob's the only one that's allowed to do
Because
Hyrox.
Rob's not a dick. He's not a dick about it.
I have seen so many things about Hyrox recently, and this. I'm happy people are active and they're doing a competition, but some people are really on their high horse about Hyrox,
Yeah.
like really on their high
Yeah.
horse, and you don't see it in other sports. Like you don't really see
No,
it in
you do.
triathlon. Like
CrossFit.
Okay, CrossFit.
This Hyrox is the modern day CrossFit.
Okay,
Yeah, CrossFit went through this phase, came out, everyone loved it, was on the bandwagon, and then it became injury like fest. The people at the top of their game started becoming really arrogant and cocky about it. They started creating stupid exercises like kipping pull-ups, and now CrossFit's had a bad name. And I like CrossFit, you know, I like a lot of the people that I train with, but they have Hyrox is definitely on the same kind of trajectory, I find. And the people with, I don't want to body shame them, but like they're not bodybuilders by any standard. Like they got the shirts off, but it's not because they're hot. It's because they're trying to fucking show off themselves doing a Hyrox. I'm like, this is not what this one's about. This is about you competing in this fitness event for yourself. Why do you have to like show off on it? It's like, guys,
It's not a physique stage.
It's not a physique
Hyrox,
stage.
It's not physique.
put your shirt on. Unless you're really hot and you need it for medical reasons, fair enough.
I saw someone who was up in what was it, Edinburgh. Edinburgh had
Yeah.
one. Edinburgh doesn't get above 14 degrees for fuck's sake.
I'm saying this when Rob did Hyrox with his shirt off, but Rob's not that
but
kind
Rob
of
went
guy.
and did it in Nice.
No, this first time he did it. Well, he's done it a few times.
Yeah, but it depends where he was doing and what
But
time of
first
year.
time he did the same thing.
If it's like it has been in the UK
Yeah.
the last week, I think fair.
Everyone wants to look cool. They want to have their shirt off. They want to like be, get that photo of them on the battle ropes. Well, I don't think there is battle ropes in.
No, it's not battle ropes.
Sled pull. That's
sled
the one.
pull.
They want to look cool to sled pull. Look at their fucking hard muscles as they're pulling. Like, oh yeah, look at me.
Basically, it's a free photo shoot doing some fitness stuff.
That's what I feel like it is.
Yeah, it's a free photo shoot
Yeah.
for 60 quid. Bargain.
But think about it. It's the same workout
It is the same
every
workout.
single time.
Yeah, because they haven't changed it.
It's boring.
I
After a while,
wouldn't do it
it's boring
personally.
after a while. I will do one day, but once it's done, I'm not doing it again. That's it.
We do a pair one, there you go.
Pairs.
But you do pairs, can't you?
Pair one with you.
Why would you do a pair
You
one
smell
with
me.
me?
I'll wash after the gym.
I'll bring like a stinky towel. Right, guys, we appreciate you watching this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe, follow, and also share this about. The more people this goes out to, the more we can help. So the best thing about this is the community we're building. We appreciate everyone who's subscribing, and we'll catch you guys later.
Ciao.